Hi folks, I am Divok, and welcome to the hero preview for Luna. If you want to deal crazy late game damage, then you need to prepare to use Luna when Artifact releases. Every hero's backstory gives us a glimpse as to the source of their power, and Luna is no exception to this rule. Luna was once a scourge of the plains, a feared leader of both man and beast. She roamed, leaving destruction in her wake. However, life never remains a constant. She found herself without food or friend, stripped of everything bar a few rags and a rusty old dagger. While travelling in this decrepit state, she saw a pair of glaring eyes gleaming out of a forest. Feeling that she had one final chance to reclaim her former glory, she gave chase. 3 times Luna cornered this beast, and 3 times it narrowly escaped her. Finally, she found it in a forest clearing, seemingly waiting for her. She thought it was about to pounce. Finally, she would be given the sweet release that is death. However, she lived. The beast merely dove forward, stealing her weapon, and ran off, leaving her surrounded by some hooded people. These hooded people were the followers of Celimene, goddess of the moon. They gave Luna a chance to join them, and she agreed, becoming Celimene's champion. Luna is a 3 attack, 0 armor, and 8 health blue hero. As far as stats go, these are pretty weak. The HP is quite nice, 8 is relatively strong, but nowhere near as strong as some others. 3 attacks are also pretty awkward. Melee creeps have 4 health, so you can't one-hit them without a bit of help. However, despite these low stats, she's actually got one of the most impressive stat lines as a blue hero, so you can expect to have a deck that's well prepared to deal with this, and in fact make use of Luna and her high health. And just with the rest of those blue heroes, it's not the stats that make her a force to be reckoned with. Luna's ability is Lucent Beam. Lucent Beam deals 1 damage to a random enemy at the start of your turn. Now, the way that this works is actually quite simple. If Luna is on the field when the turn cycles to her lane, she deals 1 damage to 1 enemy in that lane. Now this can help Luna deal with melee creeps, as it will reduce their health by 1, leaving her 3 attack capable of finishing them off. However, the damage isn't the primary reason for Lucent Beam. Every time Lucent Beam hits, every copy of her spell card Eclipse gets 1 charge. Now this doesn't matter if it's in your hand or in your deck, the Eclipse will still get 1 charge, and that's very important for the way that Eclipse works. Eclipse is Luna's premier spell card. It costs 6 mana and deals 3 damage to a random enemy, which doesn't sound too strong, but there is a second part to this card. You then repeat the 3 damage to a random enemy for every charge that you've gained through Lucent Beam. Now that can really start to add up and is actually a huge late game potential. In some of the earlier videos and interviews we heard from devs, Luna's late game Eclipse was legendary amongst them. But it's not just this huge late game clear, you can also use it in the mid game for some pretty good tempo control, because by turn 4 you've got enough mana to use it and you've had potentially 3 turns with Luna out on the board. Just to give you an example of how strong this is. If you're 5 turns in, you probably haven't lost a tower yet, the game is still relatively early on. If you've managed to keep Luna out for every single one of those turns, Eclipse will now be an 18 damage card for 6 mana. That is absolutely ridiculous. The only thing that probably comes close is Annihilation, which for 7 mana kills everything, including your own cards. Eclipse has the potential to be game winning, and is likely the entire reason you're picking Luna. Now, every hero will have a playstyle, so I'm going to go through the early, mid and late game and discuss what sort of items and spells you should be looking at using. Luna's early game is all about survival. She's got a relatively large health pool, but you need to get off as many Lucent Beams as possible to charge up that Eclipse. You can turn her into a bit of a threat if you add a short sword. This item's really cheap, adds +2 attack, allows you to take out creeps by yourselves and even some heroes that only have 5 health. The important item you want to look for though is leather armor, or if you can't find it, Traveler's Cloak. Both which keep Luna alive. Obviously leather armor giving you armor, which is fantastic for reducing damage, adding some resilience to her already high health, or Traveler's Cloak just adding more bulk health on top of her health. The longest Luna is alive, the more Eclipse charges you have. It's as simple as that. So you absolutely need to prioritize these early items. In terms of spells, there's not too much early on that can help you here. Frostbite's probably your best option. It does require you to use Crystal Maiden, but you're running a blue deck, who isn't going to be running Crystal Maiden anyway? It's a low cost card, only costs 3, and with Crystal Maiden you get 2 back, if she happens to be in your lane, and it can really help to save Luna from any early aggression decks, such as red or black. Moving into the mid game, Luna should be able to now deal with creeps herself, or at least there should be some sort of way of helping her deal with creeps on your side of the board, but it remains the same. Protect Luna, get some Lucent Beam charges going. Maybe you can spend 1 Eclipse for tempo if you need it, try and hold on to them for the late game where at all possible. Item-wise, in the mid-game, buy nothing. Try and save for late. If you absolutely need to keep Luna up, you can buy a hero's cape for pure HP, but in terms of the items we know about currently, there isn't really anything that can help you in this sort of mid-game. Save for the late-game item, trust me. In terms of spells though, there's plenty you can now get your hands on. You've got a fair bit of mana to work with, so the Dimensional Portal and Cunning Plan combo works quite well. That should give your opponent a bit of a headache and make Luna completely unreachable, spamming creeps onto the board and swapping Luna around so that the enemy heroes can't even get close to her anymore. There is one nice combo you can use. Like I led on to before, the late game item is very important, so if you're using a black deck, Day at the Track to double your gold is fantastic. As soon as you can hit that late game item, you're going to have a massive increase in your potential with Luna. Speaking of, we're moving to the late game. In the late game, Luna owns everything. You should be preparing one of your blue boards for tower damage. Get some hard hitters on there, get some creeps over there, and then clear with Eclipse to win. Stack up 20, 30, 40 damage, throw an Eclipse down, clear the board, combat phase, you hit the tower, that's one victory point in the bag. Now, items. The most important item for Luna, in my opinion, is Vesture of the Tyrant. Vesture of the Tyrant adds yet more armor, which is fantastic, keeps Luna on the board, etc, etc. What's really important about Vesture of the Tyrant though, is that it's a rapid deployment card. It grants Luna the ability to come back into the fray the turn immediately after she gets killed. She will never miss a Lucent Beam ever again. Luna with rapid deployment equals an Eclipse charge every single turn without fail. So you've got your permanent Lucent Beam going off with Vesture of the Tyrant. What else do you look for? Well, Eclipse is going to be raking in the money, so you can really go for anything. Potheus' Blade, however you say that, or any other high damaging items are really, really good. Like I said, you want to be looking for high damage, so you can stack it on the board, clear the way with Eclipse, and then hit the tower. Again, with you raking in so much money, in terms of spells, Day at the Track is good, because you can just double the effectiveness of that, and absolutely just buy out your opponent effectively. And if you are having trouble with Eclipse, it does fall off if you get into the extreme late game. Then you can use Thunder God's Wrath, which of course requires Zeus, if you need a little bit of an extra oomph for that full clear. However, Artifact is a 5-hero game. You can't just play Luna by herself. So, who are her best friends and who should you try to avoid? In terms of allies for Luna, Lycan works really nicely early on. He gives her +2 attack if he's next to her, which allows her to clear creeps and some lower health heroes, as well as providing extra cannon fodder in the form of his Savage Wolf. Phantom Assassin is also a good option, because she can kill off potential threats. Enemy heroes are Luna's bane in the early game, and Phantom Assassin is great at killing enemy heroes. Not to mention she's a black card, which means you can start to include Day at the Track in your deck. Of course, Crystal Maiden is a great combination for any hero that revolves around using a spell, because she just gives you mana for free. So not only does that make Eclipse stronger, but she also provides Frostbite, which as I mentioned earlier, is great to keep Luna alive in the early game. Heroes for Luna to avoid are Phantom Assassin, because as I said, she's great at killing heroes. In fact, Phantom Assassin can kill a Luna in one hit, but thanks to her effect. Bristleback, Axe, and Legion Commander are also very, very high damage heroes. All of these heroes can kill Luna with just one item or less. Another thing to avoid, specifically in the middle game if you're relying on Dimension Portal, is Cleave. There is no way for you to hide if the enemy has Cleave. At the moment, the only heroes that can kind of do this are Zeus with his ability, and Sven, from what we know about Sven's ability. So try and avoid these two, or if you see them, just don't rely on Dimension Portal or hiding behind creeps. So, keeping Luna alive through the early game and mid game will be difficult, especially against certain decks. However, if you can keep her alive, you are in for a free win, as Luna is to the late game what the Great Plague was to the 14th century Europe. Absolutely devastating. Thank you for watching our hero preview. Let us know what you think. Do you agree with our comments? Or do you have some other ideas of your own? Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Artificer_Guild and leave a like and subscribe as it really helps the channel out. Also, check out some of our other videos. Here's our most recent video, and here's one we think you might enjoy. So take a look. I've been Divok of the Artificers Guild, and we will see you next time.